Okay, everyone. So am I coming through okay? Can you hear me? So I'm Trevor. Point the camera up and turn off the light. So, hey, can anyone hear me? Okay, seeing the chat come through. See a hello.
Yes, Trevor,
Okay, great.
yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. The Zoom recording for the free trial ends in like 40 minutes, so I don't have much time. So just bear with me. And I made a comment just saying like I'm gonna improve going forward, like streaming to my YouTube live, and then that way we can just keep things going for as long as we need. So okay, so here we are. We're gonna do the breakfast hash. I have all the ingredients just laid out here, so I'm just gonna go through those real quick, and then I'll get started. Okay. All right, so for this breakfast hash, we have so we got the seasonings, got some chili powder, got smoked paprika, got tomato paste, and then salt and pepper. What these shakers are. For the garnish, we have some parsley, and we got green bell pepper, like medium-sized onion, and red potato. Red potato, and then I'm gonna be doing 3 eggs, just because they're easy to add more of. And I could use extra protein because I have fitness goals that I'm doing. But I think this recipe does well with just 1 egg. I think it's a nice proportion to vegetables and an egg. So, and I also have this scrap bowl. So this is useful for, discarding the scraps and also just leftover vegetables from the whole produce items. So, all right, so I'm gonna get started. Just put things away real quick. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out was with the with the red potato is if you have like a red potato that's starting to get discolored a little bit, like turn more purple, like a darker purple and starting to sprout, it's still edible. It's just it's going to taste bitter. So be mindful of that. And here's like a potato that's kind of a brighter color. This is kind of more of what you want it to look like. So um, yeah, just wanted to point that out. Okay. And so let's start off with the potato. So if you're gonna like wash any vegetables, recommend you wash them all. The onion's fine because it has the skin on it you can peel off, but like anything grown in dirt, like mushrooms or potato, those things you actually would want to wash. And then so when you're cutting a potato like this one, these are like oval shaped. So there's like a wider side and then a thinner side. So that's the side you want to cut into for your first cut because it's going to provide a flatter surface for you to make more stable cuts going across the top. And it's also going to be thinner, so you can actually get more of those cube-like pieces. So we're just going to go ahead and make first cut going through that. And so now you got your flat here, and then the recipe calls for like a quarter of all these. And that's kind of intentional because it's more of like a guideline than an actual specific measurement because you might get like all different kinds of sizes. So if I don't specify small or large, just think of like medium. It's kind of the default. So we cut it in half that way, and then we'll quarter it by cutting it in half again. And then with the other pieces, you can just put those into your scrap bowl. And then with the potato, we're going to cut along the top. But like with the open side facing the blade, so that way you get fewer cuts. Because if it actually result in more cuts, but I like keeping it this way because it's more uniform with the original cuts you're getting. I just find it easier to go towards the end of the vegetable that's kind of uneven on one side and then flat on the other. And then so once we got the cuts through the top, if it's too tall, I typically just do it out of habit, but I go through the side across the sandwich and then all the way across through the middle. But when you get towards the edge, don't really feel like you have to go all the way through. You can leave it at the end because the blade will kind of fly out, and that can be kind of dangerous. So you want to just be mindful of that. And it's just like a single cut that you could just do later on. So then once that's done, you can come through the edge and just go through down through the top. And the way that you hold the knife is what I like to do is I like to pinch the blade with my finger and with my index, it gives like more control. It's kind of awkward at first, but your muscles will learn how to do it, and it'll be kind of painful, but you'll get used to it. And that's typically how I would go about it. Some people recommend to kind of like curl your fingers so only your knuckles are facing the blade to prevent cuts, but uh, I I don't like that personally, so I just uh, prefer not to do that. When you're doing cuts for the first time, you kind of want to just, I used to use like a dull blade just for safety reasons, but then that actually is like more painful and annoying on your wrist and stuff. So using a sharp blade helps with more precise cuts and ease on the wrist. So here we're going to do the dicing the onion. And with that, you want to kind of identify that there's like two nubs on the side. There's like the frilly end, and then there's this one. And with that, you want to cut across the middle. These are spherical usually, so there's no like oval like the red potato has. So you can just go through the middle of each of those on the top. And then that will take the onion, take the side and take the flat side of it. And then similar to the potato, we just cut through the middle, through the top again. And then you can just take the remaining three quarters, put that in your scrap bowl. Oops, actually, that in your scrap bowl. And then with this onion, you just start to peel the outside skin. There's usually like a thin layer on there, and this gets like really flimsy. So it's I like to just peel that off. I know it's kind of wasteful, but it leads to an easier cut. And then with the scraps, you can save those for like composting, or what I like to do is I freeze them and make like a vegetable broth out of it when I make a soup. So with the onion, we're going to cut down the top through the center, but when you're making these cuts, don't go all the way to the end. You don't want to cut all the way through the onion because that's going to hold it together. And that's going to make it easier for you to make those other cuts going across, because the onion has like lots of layers in between the vegetables. So it's important that you kind of keep that together. So that way everything's not sliding underneath you when you're making these cuts. So again, down through the top, and then we're going to go through the middle on the side, and then don't feel like you have to go all the way through. It gets kind of harder with the onion than it is with the potato. And then we're going to do the same cut. We're just aiming for like a 1/4 inch, between a 1/4 inch and like a 1/2 inch, basically. Kind of get that nice even dices. And, and then with the blade, I just kind of like wipe the onion off every time. Um, some people like to do like a rocking motion. Some people like to do kind of like a rocking motion with the blade to kind of speed things up. But for more precision and stuff, I just pick the blade up every time. It's slower and takes more work, but that's okay. And then when you get to the end, you have like this little intact piece. To get the last bits of onion off, you can just kind of just slice the edges off a little bit like that. And I mean, that works. And any bigger pieces, you can kind of just go and finish that up. And so, yeah, we can kind of see the ingredients kind of coming together. We got even proportions of like potato and onion here. They're both white, so I guess it's kind of hard to see them differently, but that's, you should be getting about like maybe between like 1/3 of a cup and a 1/2 a cup of each. And so for the bell pepper, usually they have like 4 walls. Sometimes they have 3 walls. So to get a good 1/4 of it, if you have 4 walls, you can just slice down one side of the wall of the bell pepper, and then a little bit of membrane in the seeds will pop up. So you can just peel those out with your hand. Just set those to the side, and try and get those seeds out if you can, because they will kind of be crunchy in your food, and that's kind of awkward. So okay, so I think we're about 10 minutes in now, just to keep an eye on time. All right. So now for the bell pepper, I don't really like doing this side because it kind of like it is like flimsy when you do it like that. So I put it the skin side down. And then when we're making these cuts, you kind of go like the julienne, like the long way first. And then the skin on the bell pepper will make it kind of hard for it to separate. So when you're making these cuts, it's kind of important that you drag the blade into the cutting board and make that, make that secure cut with or contact with the board. Because if you don't, then you're going to have like pieces that look like they're cut, but then they're actually connected a little bit, and then that can be kind of awkward when you're sauteing them. I want to mention now, for anyone with an electric grill or electric stove, you probably want to turn your burner on right now, because just to get that heated up. I'm not sure if anyone's following along or not, but that would be something you want to do. I have a gas stove, so it heats up like instantly for me, so I don't have
A
to
quick
plan
question.
ahead. Yeah, what is it?
So it's on medium, right?
Yeah, for the stove, you want to do like medium high, depending on your stove.
Yeah.
Everybody's stove is going to be different.
Yeah, I got a crappy electric stove, so yeah, medium high sounds about right.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're good. Okay, so almost done with all the dicing. Um, yeah, and if you have electric stove, I think the cook times are just going to be a little bit longer. But I've cooked on electric before, and it works, and but it's not as a quick experience. So here is the avocado. We're going to deal with that later. It's not that's just kind of optional pairing that I recommended for this recipe. Okay, so now that we have all the vegetables diced, it's time to start sauteing them. So what you want to do is just get your oil. I guess you could also use butter, but I like oil because it's just kind of a neutral flavor. And butter kind of just makes things sweet in a way. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the burner on, and then I'm gonna move the camera. So you better. This might get a little loud. I was intentionally going to use my headset microphone, but the Bluetooth doesn't connect very well. So luckily the webcam had a built-in microphone and that works really well. But because of that, there might be um like a lot of noise from the pan. So okay, so I have a power burner, so I just set mine to medium. So that's actually kind of more like a medium high. And so you go ahead and add your oil. Um, and you just kind of want to get like a tablespoon, just something to cover the bottom of the pan. And you swirl that around a little bit, and you'll notice that the viscosity of the oil will like increase, or it will like first it'll be kind of slow to move around, and then as it heats up, it kind of turns to more like a water consistency, so you can kind of see that move around. And you don't want to add your vegetables right away because when you're heating up the oil, when it's like kind of at room temp, it'll seep into the vegetable, and then that adds like too much oil to your vegetables. So when you allow it to heat up first, it'll kind of make like a cauterizing effect, and it'll seal those pores, and it'll only cook the outside, giving it that crisp finish that you want. So one way to test if the pan is hot enough is you just kind of take a little bit of onion and you just throw it in there. I saw this movie once where people said just put a little bit of water in your oil. Don't do that because you're going to create like a little bit of a splash and then you might burn yourself with it. So the onion in here is sizzling a little bit. So to me, that indicates that it is to the proper temperature. You can kind of hear it if you're doing it yourself. I'm just going to take my cutting board and lift it and put them in there like this. Well, I'm gonna top ladder now. So I got a fish spatula. I don't know if you guys saw that, but this is just kind of like a curved spatula. It's really good for separating the eggs from the pan. And so what you want to do is you just spread the vegetables around in the oil and get it coated on all sides. And then try to separate any vegetables that might be sticking together, like these potatoes. And any pieces that you think are too big. You be careful using metal on metal because you're going to scratch your pan. But using like a rubber or wooden spatula is usually best. I think wooden is good for preventing anything from like melting in the pan and stuff, but they also make, resistant spatulas, which sometimes don't always work. So yeah, just stir this, and you kind of want to stir it every like 30 seconds to a minute. So initially you just spread it around to get all the oil covered, but after that you really just kind of separate the vegetables. But after that you kind of just let it cook and get some nice crispiness going to it. So in this time, if you have an avocado, it'd be good to start getting that ready. Or it's also a good time to do like some kitchen cleaning. It's always good to stay busy, not just stand here or whatever. So you can, discard some of your vegetables, maybe clean your cutting board. But if you have the avocado, you're still going to need the cutting board for that. So move the webcam again. So for the avocado, what you want to do is just find a good edge to kind of cut through the top. You know, an avocado is ripe when you can kind of push down the edges a little bit with your fingers and feel a little bit of compression, but it's not too squishy. And your blade is going to run into that pit. You're going to use that pit as a guideline to know that you cut deep enough into the avocado, and then it should just separate like that. And then for the side with the pit, if you have like a heavier kitchen blade, like cutting, like chef's knife like this, you can just take it and then just kind of put a little bit of force and momentum behind it, and then twist it, and then it comes out just like that. And then you can just hit it onto the board. I'm gonna stir my vegetables real quick. Cool. So that's done. And now with the avocado, you want to use like a paring knife. That's usually the best like utility tool for this. And don't use the palm of your hand to hold the avocado like that. That'll often lead to cuts into your hand. Just pinch it on the sides. Okay, so we're about 16 minutes in. All right, so I'm gonna take this and just slice into it, maybe about 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of thickness again, same as like all the vegetables, to give that good consistency across the board. We're not dicing it though. These are just gonna be slices. And you know you got a good slice, you can kind of separate it a little bit. If any of the edges stick together, just kind of go back through those and then separate them a little bit more. So that's going to lead to good separation and make it easier to peel them out. Stir my vegetables one more time. Okay, so they're starting to crisp up a little bit, but they're not quite done. So now with the avocado, you want to take like the little edge here, and then you can kind of just peel that out like that for the first one. But this is a good time to start plating. So you can take your plate, and with avocados, the recommended way to plate these is to fan them out. So what that means is that they all one edge will stick to the mid, like to a certain point, and then the edges will just all kind of separate out. Sometimes like the seed of the avocado or whatever the little nub is on the end will stick to your avocado slice. So just be mindful of that and make sure you take that out because you don't want to bite into that and have a crunch, you know. So I'm just gonna fan that out. I recommend like 1/2 an avocado for this. You can do the whole avocado, but if you're cooking your eggs to medium like me, that'll make like a lot of creaminess to the whole dish. And so that's kind of like, it might be overwhelming for some people, but it's, but I've done the whole avocado before and it's pretty good. I like it. So that's how you plate the avocado, kind of whatever, you know, get better as you go. Okay, so now the vegetables are looking a bit done. Let me show you what that looks like. So I don't know if I can zoom in better, or you can see some of the bits are starting to brown. The onions will crisp up. The potatoes will have a little bit of pieces on them. Let's put this up here. Okay, and so with this, you want to turn the burner off. You want the pan to cool down and push. And then what I do is I'm going to push the vegetables all to one side of the pan, and this will make it easier just for the seasoning. And so for the seasoning instructions, I labeled like 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon for these things. So those are kind of just general guidelines. For starting out, you can measure them out and then adjust your flavor to what your preferences. So at least salt and pepper shakers, and let's start with the salt. And I typically just try and do a little bit more salt than pepper. A lot of recipes will say like 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, but it's ultimately just for whatever your preference is. So I just do that. And then with the chili powder, you want to get like a nice good coating with the chili pepper, and you just kind of get it, just kind of go slow and season it pretty well. And then when you do your salt seasoning, less is more, because if you do too much salt in your dish, it's going to be really bad tasting and like hard to eat. So be careful with how much salt you add, and just you can always add more later. And then with the smoked paprika, it's a really overpowering seasoning, so you only need like a couple dashes of it, because if you add too much, all you're going to taste is paprika. Look at that. And then lastly, you're going to do the tomato paste, and you can just use like a teaspoon And when you're cooking with this and it's kind of early in the morning, you want to be quiet. A lot of people just hit the side of the pan, but you can also just use your finger and just comes out like that and it's quieter. And then kind of let's go ahead and mix this up. The reason we turned the pan, if you're using electric stove, you probably wanted to move your pan to a different, like not hot burner, but I'm sorry about that. But yeah, you just want to mix this up, and because if it's hot, the tomato paste will start to burn onto the pan, and then that becomes really hard to clean, and then it doesn't get the flavor across all the vegetables as you want. And then one thing I want to mention is that the oil in this recipe is important for like the seasonings to bind to the vegetables because the fats kind of bind to the skin very well. I don't know if you've ever like touched grease before and you notice it kind of leaves like a residue on your fingers. The same kind of thing is happening here with the seasonings. So if you ever like season food after you cooked it without any like fats, you kind of notice it becomes like grainy and stuff, but you don't get that doing this. Okay. So this, you kind of want to mix it well because the tomato paste takes a little bit of time to like heat up and mix around and stuff. So that's what I'm doing here. Oh, and so now that this is done, you kind of push everything to the sides. This would be a good time to kind of taste your vegetables. And then you kind of see what flavors you want. If it tastes a little bit of little bland to you, you might want to add just like a touch more salt. I think I might actually do that. And if you like pepper taste, it's going to be kind of like a little spicy. So if you add too much of that, so that would be something that you want to do too if you want to kind of enhance those flavors. Don't really add too much more paprika, but if you can't taste the paprika, that's kind of a good sign that you might want to add more. And then chili powder is, I think you kind of add enough of that already, so it's not really as important to add. Okay, so the pan is like effectively cooled off at this point. And what you want to do is start cracking your eggs. But before that, I mentioned using like a non-stick spray. So I just have the compressed can thing. And you kind of just spray the inside of your pan a little bit. And that'll help with the separation of the eggs. And then when you crack your eggs, you want to just do it in the pan because a lot of people do like the side of it. But what that does is it pushes the eggshell into the egg and it'll promote breaking of the egg into the yolk and stuff more. So right that, you just crack on a flat surface. And I'm going to do 3 eggs. One, 2. And then you're going to need a lid for this. Okay, and if you get any eggshells in your dish, you can use the eggshell to kind of just scoop that out. They're really thin and they got sharp edges that really go through the egg without like disturbing the yolk or anything like that. So luckily I didn't have any of those issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this to my AccuSimmer, and that's just kind of like a smaller burner. And for this, I'm gonna put on like a medium low heat. So that for the AccuSimmer, that's closer to a medium, but medium low heat, and then you want to cover it. So that's, I mean, you're not going to be able to see much because it's going to fog up, but that's kind of like what it looks like. And then you're gonna, depending on like what doneness of an egg you want. I like mine sunny side up. A lot of restaurants won't do a medium sunny side up. They'll do medium over, is what they call it. And what that means is that they'll cook like the bottom of the egg for 3 minutes and then they'll like flip it over and cook it for another minute or two. And then they serve it like that. And so it's like cooked on both sides, but the yolk in the middle is still runny with the edges of the yolk kind of jammy. And so that's kind of like what we're going for here with the medium consistency. At least that's what I am doing. If you want just sunny side up eggs with the runny yolk, and then the egg whites will be no longer translucent, they'll be cooked all the way. You probably want to aim for like 5 minutes, but you want to keep the lid on all the time because every time you lift up the lid, you're going to release that heat that you're going to need. And so we're almost done here. So in this time, it's good to either finish up your avocado, or do some more kitchen cleanup, or if you have the parsley, it's a good time to cut this up. So what I have is parsley that I've just ripped off from the bunch already. And now what you want to do is just kind of, it's okay if you have stems in there too. The stems also have good flavor. And then you kind of just do loose cuts across the top, maybe like 1/2 inch. And you do it one way, and then you do it the other way. That's pretty much all you would want, because if you cut parsley too much, it'll start to bruise and wilt and stuff. And so that's going to be ready for the garnish. And so as the eggs cook, you kind of want like to do like kitchen cleanup stuff. I don't know. For me, I just have to run back and forth between the trash can. I don't really want to do that with the video. Now would be like a good time for questions and stuff if anyone has those. If not, I mean, that's cool too.
Trevor,
Yeah.
Jerry Durwalker here. I just wanted to ask about your pan.
Okay, yeah. It's like a medium-sized pan. It's a KitchenAid pan. I think it's like 11 inches or so.
The construction, is it purely aluminum or what is
I think it's stainless steel.
it? Okay.
Yeah, non-stick pans are probably ideal for the eggs and stuff here. But I mean, you got non-stick spray too as well.
And then your knife, your cutting knife.
Oh yeah,
What-
yeah. This is a Wusthof knife. I really like this one.
Where can those be purchased?
I got this one as a gift, but you can find it on Amazon. Pretty much anything you can get on Amazon these days.
Say that brand name one more time.
Wusthof, Wustof.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And how do
it's
you
rec-
keep it so sharp?
Oh, I actually don't use a sharpener, but it
Oh,
just
okay.
yeah, that's probably what you would want to do is use a sharpener, and then don't cut it on like hard surfaces. Like don't cut steel on steel because that will dull the knife. You know, wood
When you
boards are
say
good.
talking about a sharpener, you talking about a sharpening stone or a grinder or what?
I'm not sure. I haven't sharpened knives, so they do like just have like the little sharpener you can just run the blade through. And then they also have like the dulling rods, and so that just prevents like the if there are any kind of dents in the blade, that kind of smooths those out. But
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen people who kind of take knives and they go with them. That's kind of what that is. All right, so I think the eggs are starting to get a little bit done for me. So what that looks like is the tops of the egg. Yeah, the tops of the egg will start to turn a little white. And so what I do to check it is I just kind of lift it, and then kind of just touch it a little bit. I mean, I'm eating this, so I'm okay, and my hands are clean. They seem a little runny to me, so I think maybe another minute, 30 seconds, and then it'll be good. So, sorry. Oh, should be done. And then another pairing with this is just some yogurt. I just have a small cup of Activia. They make like sugar-free ones too, but this one is with sugar. And yeah, okay. I think we're about done with the eggs for me. If you keep cooking them, or if you want done like hard eggs, they'll take another minute or so. And so when you want to plate, the way you want to plate this is you take the vegetables and you kind of just spread those all around. You want most of the vegetables to be around the edges because you want those kind of vegetables to kind of pop through when you serve it, so people know what's underneath the eggs as well. This also works really well in a bowl. If you just have the single egg, you can put it all in a bowl, and then the egg yolk on top will kind of just mix in with all the vegetables, and that's also really yummy. But because I have 3 eggs, I've just gotten into the habit of using a plate. And so and just put a little bit of the vegetables in the center, not as much as on the sides, and you kind of spread those out. And then with the eggs, what you want to do is kind of go around the edges first. Okay, let's see. So just kind of like break up those edges first. Cool. And then once you have the edges, then you can kind of go towards under in the middle. Because if you go straight to the middle first, you're gonna risk breaking the yolks and stuff. Okay, so now that it's all separated from the pan, you just kind of want to slide it out to the side like that. Okay, and there's that. Get the little bits of vegetables out of the pan. Cool. And now with the parsley, what you want to do when you garnish, so that's kind of like what it looks like so far. And the yolks are runny. This one's a little firm, but these are runny. And so with the parsley, you want to season from afar. So or just garnish from afar. So maybe like 3 inches above, and you just kind of do it slowly. And I like parsley, so I just put a lot of it on there, but um yeah, that's pretty much it. And so you get the garnish done, and that's how it's supposed to look kind of towards the end. I have pictures of it on the event, but those are Instagram pictures, right? So we all know reality doesn't always match up with that. And then I'll show you what the yolks are kind of gonna look like when you cut into them. They should have like that runny, ooey. I don't know if that came out okay, but they should be jammy on the edges if you're doing medium, and then kind of just runny in the middle. So this I think, is one of the more done ones. It's kind of interesting how the pan does that sometimes, or sometimes how the egg is cracked. And then let's see, and then it should just run out kind of slowly. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's the idea. And so that's the end of the cooking instructions, and you can enjoy your meal with your avocado and your yogurt, and then maybe some juice. The vegetables have like a lot of prebiotics in them already, like potato, onion, and bell pepper. And then the yogurt has the probiotics. So probiotics eat the prebiotics, and that helps you maintain a healthy gut. And I think that's important because they say, a lot of serotonin is produced from your gut. And so thank you for nice comments. Appreciate everybody for attending. And if you have any, final comments or questions, you can ask those now, but I think we only have a few minutes left.
Tastes wonderful. Thank you,
Oh.
ma'am.
Oh, you're trying it now?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well
great.
said.
Cool. Thank you. Glad you like it. I eat this all the time. It's like it brings a lot of joy in my day because sometimes I wake up and I'm like, what am I going to eat for breakfast today? I don't really want the cereal or protein shake or whatever. And I just make this every morning, and it's just really,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
it's just it kind of prevents, the decision fatigue. And it's like you wake up and you're kind of groggy. It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
whatever. So this is really good for me, and it's got a lot of good healthy ingredients and stuff. So hope you enjoy this, and I'm gonna keep improving these as I go.
Yeah, how often
And
do you
then
do these?
this is my first event, so
Oh, okay.
this is probably as rough as it's going to be. It should only get better from here. And then we also do in-person events. So right now we're just doing like a recipe swap and review. So we're going to the Bridge Tap House. I made a reservation for like 6 people, so we have 5 total signed up right now. So there's room for one more. And if we get more interest, I can just call the place and ask to increase the reservation. And it's scheduled for the 15th on a Thursday at 6. So
I'm actually in Toronto right now, so I can't come in person or anything. But
oh, that's
I'll
cool.
be happy. I'll be happy to tune in here, like every now and then.
Okay. Yeah, and then I want to do, as it warms up, I want to do, I know last weekend was a good opportunity for that, but it's not really reliable to plan in February for warm weather. But I want to do like outdoor barbecues and potlucks and things like that. So be on the lookout for that. I'll try to announce those early so people can sign up to bring whatever. But I also have good ideas. Like there's this chicken bulgogi that does really well on a grill that I want to try. I mean, I've done it on my own grill, but I'm gonna try it out at one of our barbecues so we could sample that and whatever else people want to bring. And yeah, so I think I'm just gonna end the video here and enjoy my breakfast. I hope people who are trying it now, I know someone enjoys it, and if it doesn't taste exactly right, you can always tweak it to your preferences as you cook it again. And that's why I encourage to taste your food after you season it, so you can adjust it to what you like. So I want to thank everyone for attending, and appreciate the feedback, and I look forward to doing these more in the future. I have another idea that I'm gonna put on the calendar. So there's like 3 cooking classes so far, but I'm gonna do kimchi fried rice next, and I'm gonna see if I can get there's a place called Confluence Kombucha that they make their own kimchi. I'm gonna see if I can feature them in an upcoming post. But yeah,
Good.
so cool. Everybody, thanks for attending. I'm gonna go now, and I got other things to do today, and I hope you guys have a good weekend. And thanks for being here.
Thanks,
Sure, thank you.
Trevor.
So
Thanks.
much. Have a great day.
All right, bye.